welcome to Weather Impact Live. Look how beautiful it looks right now out in South Ponte Vedra Beach near Volano Beach, really. So gorgeous, but it's chilly. It's sitting in the 50s right now as of this recording at 10:30 a.m. Here's where our low temperatures came in this morning. We were freezing in some spots. So it has been cold. Check this out. We have had one of the biggest temperature drops that we have recorded in March just recently. On Monday, if you remember, that's when the strong to severe weather rolled through. But before the rain got here at the Jacksonville airport, it was 80 degrees for a high. Then by Tuesday morning, it was 35 degrees for the low. That was a 45-degree temperature drop in just 19 hours. That makes it the fourth biggest, it's tied for fourth, biggest temperature drop recorded in the month of March at the Jacksonville International Airport. So that is how we started off St. Patrick's Day. It stayed chilly on St. Patrick's Day. Now, this afternoon, we're actually warming up a little bit more. But before we get to that and before we get to our forecast, I want to talk about St. Patrick's Day. I hope you all had a good one. If you celebrated, I hope you had fun and stayed safe. We were chilly, but at least it wasn't snowing, right? Let's take a listen into, or take a look at least at some of the St. Patrick's Day parades going on across other parts of the country. There were obviously tons of parades all across the country. We have video here out of St. Paul, Minnesota. So you can see the green, but you can also see that they are bundled up. Ooh, look at that snow out there. So in St. Paul, crowds obviously packed the downtown streets for the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is a decades-long tradition that traces its route back to the 1960s. Now, marchers made their way from a place called Mears Park to Rice Park, and then it continued that historic path, which is where they've always been going as they have celebrated since the 1960s, that Irish heritage. The community spirit there, as you can see. Organizers and volunteer-led group once again used the event not only as a celebration, but as a way to give back. They supported local charities and to stay active in their community year-round. And now look at that. So in Cleveland, Ohio, it was bitterly cold, but the bitter cold and snow did not stop one of the nation's largest St. Patrick's Day parades. Marching bands, pipe bands, civic leaders, cultural groups, all of them filled the streets, drawing determined spectators despite the winter chill. Look at them all bundled up. Okay, so now we're going to stick with the cold in another part of the country just for a little bit, because this is a story that we have coming up here too on a snowplow driver. So this snowplow driver that you're about to hear about made all the difference for a woman in Madison, Wisconsin, who went into labor during this past weekend snowstorm. So the snowplow driver literally plowed the way for the ambulance to make it to the hospital.
The call that there was somebody with a potential imminent delivery.
Madison Fire paramedic Jenna Larson was on board an ambulance with an expecting mother.
It's really important that we get to the hospital quickly but safely.
There was one problem: the heavy snowfall and covered roads.
My lieutenant actually got on the radio right away to see if any of our snowplow drivers for the city were nearby.
And just like that, a plow driver shoveled his way to the scene.
He jumped right in and was able to escort us all the way from the far east side of Madison to downtown Madison and literally plowed the way for our ambulance.
One of our east side plow truck drivers, his name is Brian Heggie.
Brian Heggie helped the expecting mom and EMS team get to SSM Health St. Mary's Hospital safely.
You don't necessarily think of like snowplow drivers as part of those like first responder sort of suite of things, but with weather like this, we have a role.
The City of Madison Street Division says 911 dispatch can call them when there is an emergency, and plow truck drivers like Heggie can help in critical moments.
Like Brian, his shift started at 11 p.m. the night before. It's going to end at 3 p.m. today.
We were unable to talk with Heggie after his shift because he's resting to get back on the road to keep others safe in case of an emergency.
Mom and baby were doing well at drop-off. Having our friends at the street department come over and give us that escort and we were able to focus more diligently on our patient care.
I know they got a new baby, which is like great news, so congratulations to them, and glad we were able to help.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the temperatures across the country now. So it has been chilly here locally. Currently at 10:30 a.m. in Green Bay, it's only 21 degrees. In Cleveland, it's 24. Chicago and Minneapolis, 26 degrees. At one point this morning on Good Morning Jacksonville, we were the same temperature as Bismarck. Now, luckily, we have warmed up much faster than Bismarck, but we were both sitting at 33 degrees at the same time, which was pretty wild. And we were the same as Charlotte, too. So we were cold this morning, but now we're actually warming up a little bit more. When we take a look at across the country, little bits of snowfall here and there, not much here. Let me change this. This is a 12-hour loop. Let's just put this on a 3-hour loop. So here's a look at what's happening right now. You can see some of that snow falling across places like Chicago. It extends down a little bit, but a lot of the country is quiet when it comes to radar. Unfortunately, if we look over in Nebraska, where it looks pretty calm, they need some rain. They've been dealing with big wildfire issues. And unfortunately, today we're learning more about the 86-year-old grandmother who lost her life last Thursday when trying to evacuate from her Arthur County, Nebraska home because the Morrill fire swept across the area. And a neighbor who knew Rose White talked about her tragic loss and about his own close call with the fire. Tristan Winder has the report.
Dusty Wilson, an Arthur County rancher who grew up just miles down the road from Rose White. Though countless acres of Wilson's land was claimed in the Morrill County fire, for Wilson, the most devastating news was learning of White's passing.
She loved Halloween and always made a big deal of it, and she had homemade cookies and rolls, and she'd always take the kids' picture and she'd keep them in an album. And so, yeah, we'll definitely miss Rose, and that's the toughest thing. All this other can be replaced, that hearing about her fatality was probably the toughest news.
Wilson says his wife and kids got out first, but he and his 86-year-old father were delayed trying to get cattle to safety. When they finally tried to leave, the fire jumped the road ahead of them, cutting off their exit. With nowhere else to go, the Wilsons dropped back into a meadow and headed for a windmill with a large sand perimeter, hoping the flames would not cross.
And as we left my house here, the fire that had jumped the road was coming right into my yard, as you can see behind me. We reached that point and just parked the pickup and sat and waited, and the fire come up behind us, and the sand kept it away from us, went around, went on beyond, and glory be by the hand of God, he saved this valley and our houses and our cattle.
For a family that's ran cattle on this land for 5 generations, Wilson says they've seen prairie fires before, but nothing quite like this.
We've had prairie fires over the years. We've had a shop fire and different things like that, but never seen a fire of this scope, this size, this devastation, and the speed at which it traveled. My dad's about to turn 86, and he'd never seen a prairie fire such as this either.
With land still smoldering, Wilson is taking measure of this fire by what it did not take.
There'll be rain again someday, and this grass will green up. We're lucky we're about to go in the growing season instead of if this was the fall going out of it. So it'll grow again, and we still have our family and our structures and our cattle, which the cattle can be replaced as well, but we're grateful for the blessings that we do have.
The damage from the Morrill County fire will not be fixed overnight. Wilson says support did show up fast, from first responders on the line to ranchers and neighbors calling with donations and inquiring about how they could best help. Reporting from Arthur County, I'm Tristan Winder.
Well, we're going to go to break, but when we come back, did you know that maple syrup depends on the weather? Yeah, we'll talk about it right after this commercial break.
That is the Protector.
This truck is a beast.
It's got all the tools on it. I love how big the tires are.
And this is going to be able to show you the weather around the First Coast like you've never seen it before.
The Protector really is going to help protect the community.
So you can see what it looks like on the ground. And that allows folks to really take action and do something about it.
And it gives us that edge in continuing to be the most accurate weather team.
Sponsored by HananiahAutos.com. I'm Keitha Nelson. Good morning, Jacksonville anchor and mom of twins, Journey and Trey. I'm on your side, getting you out the door and off to a great start. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
First Coast Living Live.
Bringing you closer to the tastiest food.
The best shopping.
And family fun.
Woo! Jordan Wilkerson and David Benfield. First Coast Living Live. Weekdays at 11 a.m. only on NBC 12.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
The First Coast News weather team is here to deliver your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather and up-to-the-minute information on First Coast News Plus.
The wave of moisture rolls its way on in here.
Our team is the most equipped and experienced to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
My mission is to help you get to where you're going safely. Whether it's helping you beat the backup on 95 or navigating the slowdown on JTB, we've got you covered. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays live from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
Welcome back. All right, so March is Maple Month. I didn't know that, did you? But I think we can all agree at least that the more maple, the better, right? So as Melissa Cooney shows us, sugar makers are enjoying a stretch of weather that's just in time for maple season.
To sugar makers, there's no sweeter sound than the pouring of freshly boiled syrup in March.
The sap is actually flowing really well.
Bill and Amy Prue are in the swing of maple season over at River's Edge Sugar House.
Really late nights, early mornings.
Yes.
At Mother Nature's beck and call for a year that's shaping up sweet.
We had some freezing and some thaws, and it actually looks promising for about the next 7 to 10 days.
And believe it or not, the duo says the weather has prompted higher sugar content this year too.
The sugar content in the sap is running at about 2%, and that's actually pretty good for this area. Last year it was more like 1%.
I'm excited to try, let's see.
This year's vintage.
It is really sweet. That's so good. I could just drink it straight.
Yeah, oh, we do. We do. We love it too.
They say it's a much better season than last year, which was one of the slowest they've had.
We've had a pretty good run, and we've managed to bottle up some pints of syrup.
Over at Yukon Sugar House, Professor Tom Worthley agrees, saying the sap volumes this year are way higher than last year. Connecticut produces around 1% of the syrup in the country, around 17 to 18,000 gallons a year. It's a small but mighty contribution, and one that impacts our state's economy too.
Not just for the amount of syrup we produce, but also for the tourism and the fact that they maintain these groves of maple trees that we call sugar bushes. That contributes to the foliage season and the tourism.
Give me all the maple syrup. Delicious. And Jackson, who's producing in the back right now, just said that's the kind of life he wants. So hopefully you agreed. Hopefully that made everyone smile a little bit after that sad wildfire story. All right, we're going to take one more tour around the country before we bring it back here locally and talk about our forecast and the warm up for the weekend. But first, you probably heard about the meteor that happened yesterday. So an apparent meteor was spotted in the skies over Pennsylvania and Ohio. This video is posted online by the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh. You can see a bright white streak blazing a trail across the sky as the meteor fell towards Earth. And then in Olmsted Falls, Ohio, southwest of Cleveland, 2 cameras owned by the city's school system captured these images of the same white streak. So residents in both states reported hearing a loud boom. It's unclear if the meteor made it all the way to the ground or if it was a sonic boom that was produced when the meteor entered the atmosphere that caused all the homes in the area to shake. Satellite imagery also suggests that this was in fact a meteor that caused the streak and the loud boom. There was some people on social media saying, I don't think it was a meteor. Science is leading towards yes. I mean, we saw the video there too and all of that. But cool little science and space and all of that Oh, speaking of space, I mean, we are, of course, closely watching for Artemis. Some updates there, too, that we've been working on behind the scenes. Might get an April 1st launch on Artemis. So, as you know, meteorologist Robert Spetta is putting a lot of work into that. I am now, too, and we're going to keep a close eye on that. Another thing I'm keeping a close eye on, our forecast. Warmer weather on the way, I do promise. We're going to talk about our forecast right after this break.
That is the Protector.
This truck is a beast.
It's got all the tools on it. I love how big the tires are.
And this is going to be able to show you the weather around the First Coast like you've never seen it before.
The Protector really is going to help protect the community.
So you can see what it looks like on the ground. And that allows folks to really take action and do something about it.
And it gives us that edge in continuing to be the most accurate weather team.
Sponsored by HananiahAutos.com.
I'm Keitha Nelson. Good morning, Jacksonville anchor and mom of twins, Journey and Trey. I'm on your side, getting you out the door and off to a great start. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
First Coast Living Live.
Bringing you closer to the tastiest food.
The best shopping.
And family fun. Woo!
Jordan Wilkerson and David Benfield. First Coast Living live. Weekdays at 11 a.m. only on NBC 12.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
The First Coast News weather team is here to deliver your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather and up-to-the-minute information on First Coast News Plus.
The wave of moisture rolls its way on in here.
Our team is the most equipped and experienced to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
My mission is to help you get to where you're going safely. Whether it's helping you beat the backup on 95 or navigating the slowdown on JTB, we've got you covered. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays live from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
And we're back. And I just got to say, good thing I just gave Robert Spetta a shout out, right? Because he's watching right now on Facebook. Don't forget, you can always send in your comments too. I just went over to Facebook here after he texted me. And sure enough, just letting it be known if you're not watching on Facebook, Robert Spetta apparently was the Maple King in high school during the Maple Festival. I love that. And don't forget that this show early here started off as Weather Watchers Worldwide, and that's why we kind of take a look around the country right now. And Robert is going worldwide to the Philippines currently, so we're going to make him send us back some photos and videos so we can continue to make this more of a national and worldwide show for all of you fellow weather nerds out there like us. All right, let's close this out now with a look at our local forecast. It is chilly out there. Again, the recording of this happening at 10:48 a.m. Currently right now, and so temperatures still in the 40s for a lot of us, but we are getting a couple of degrees warmer today than we were yesterday. I think highs in the inland spots moving into the 60s, the lower 60s. And along our beaches, our high temperatures will be staying in the upper 50s to low 60s. A couple you could actually reach 60 degrees. Then tonight, not as cold as it was this morning. This morning we had spots that were freezing. It was frosty. Well, tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit of patchy frost, places like Waycross, but notice so many more of us are actually starting off in the 40s tomorrow morning. So more signs of this warming trend that we're in the middle of. So tomorrow afternoon, I think a lot of you inland will actually be getting up into the upper 60s. And for those of you at the beaches, we will be staying in the lower 60s. So many of you are looking for spring break type weather. We need beach weather, right? I jumped ahead too soon. I wanted to show you Friday. Friday is a high of 75 degrees. You already saw it. Weekend is the beach weather because on Friday we do have 75 degrees. If you're heading to the beaches though, don't be shocked. Just remember that it's always a couple of degrees cooler this time of year over there. So high temperatures staying in the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. So we are looking for that beach weather. and it will be here by the weekend. So on Saturday, we have a high near 83 degrees. On Sunday, a high of 86 degrees. Warm afternoons, and we do stay dry for the most part. Sunday, there's that 10% chance of rain. But if you're looking to get out and about this weekend, maybe you want to head out to the San Marco Beer Fest on Saturday. It was from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and you can see how temperatures will be starting off in the 70s and then warming into the 80s. So we're going to continue to warm up through Sunday. Monday is also warm. We're still going to be in the 80s as well. So today, especially yesterday, even tomorrow, high temperatures cooler than normal. You can see our average high temperature there up at the top of your screen. Average high is 75 degrees. So that's why we called Friday seasonal. It is the average high temperature, right around 75. So sunny and 75, sunny and seasonal. We do need some rain though. We like the sunshine. And as we move into the even warmer weather, we actually don't see a whole lot of increase in moisture. We do have a little bit. So that's why we've kind of added those rain chances on to Sunday. And then as we head into early next week, we're going to be watching for an approaching front. But it looks like it's going to kind of stall. So I'm keeping those rain chances low. In fact, only 20 to 30% right now for Tuesday and Wednesday. So completely dry through Saturday, which is good. I mean, it is spring break. So some of you, it's good if you want to get outside. I like today, it's beautiful out there. I would just recommend sunglasses, a hat, and a jacket and the long sleeves because it's staying cool, but you don't have to worry about getting caught in the rain. However, here's how badly we need the rain. So we know that we are under an extreme drought. And by the way, the new drought monitor comes out tomorrow. I'll show you our current one here in just one moment. First, let's just talk about the amount of rain we've had so far for the month of March. We've only had 4 days. We've had 4 days with recorded rainfall. And so that still actually puts us in a deficit for the month of March. And it is a big deficit for the year. You can see since January 1st, yeah, we are in a deficit of 4.5 inches of rain so far for the year. So we really do need that rain. Here's a look at our drought monitor. And all across our area, we are in an extreme drought. The center part of the state of Florida under a moderate to severe drought. And then for a lot of the southern half of the state, back to that extreme drought. But just zooming on in here again, every single one of us under an extreme drought. And that new drought monitor comes out tomorrow. We'll see if anything got a little bit better with the rain we saw Sunday and Monday, but it definitely wasn't enough to be a drought buster. So we got to look ahead. We got to see if we see any of those rain chances. And when I take a look here, yeah, it is staying mostly dry. So we are dry through Saturday, mostly dry still Sunday, Monday, maybe even Tuesday. So Tuesday's when we're going to be watching that stalled front or the front to see if it stalls. So I think Tuesday's rain chances could fluctuate. So I ask you all to continue to check back in, especially if you have outdoor plans on Tuesday. So those rain chances could be moving around a bit. Meanwhile, we are going to be warming up from here. So still a little cool out there today, still cold tomorrow morning, but then we're feeling better in the afternoon hours. Same story on Friday, starting off in the 40s to near 50 by the beaches. So not too bad if you like to head out to the beach and watch the sunrise. And then the afternoon, getting up to around 70 at the beach to 75 inland. We're back in the 80s over the weekend. We're still in the 80s on Monday, and then we could have that temperature start to drop off on Tuesday. So all things for us to watch closely. But anyway, I hope you all have been having a good week so far. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. We are now sliding down towards the weekend. Tomorrow is almost Friday, pre-Friday, and then it is Friday. And then we got the weekend and tons of fun events going on across the First Coast with good weather to match it. We just do need some rain. I'm glad it's not coming really over the weekend though. So we're gonna keep a close eye on all of that. Thank you everyone for joining me for this Weather Impact Live. I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick, and we will be back. Ross Muma will be back at 4:30 with an updated look at your forecast.